In this video I want to show you a couple of things, but the main thing that I want to explore is using images as links. So wrapping an image in an anchor tag for the use of a logo in the header of a website, something like that. Plenty of other purposes for that. It's going to require me to do a little bit of setup, to create a little bit of content, to get a bit of presentation happening before we can do that. I'm going to start by making a wrapper div. So I'm going to use the all-purpose div element with an ID of wrapper to kind of house everything on this page, and I'll close that off. In this demonstration, I'm going to need a few bits of content, and I'll just kind of flesh those in. We'll need a header. Oops. I'm going to use a section tag for some kind of main content. And later on I'll be adding a footer, but I might just leave that empty at the moment. Oh, what the hell, let's put it in. In the section, I want a little bit of content, so we'll just put a kind of a placeholder heading. Like so, and a little bit of kind of body copy. And I might go out to this blind text generator to generate some text. I quite like using blindtextgenerator.com because it adds those HTML elements around the content, and then it's pretty easy to paste that in place. So we've got some content there. And in the header, we're going to add a logo that's kind of like a company logo that you could use as a kind of homepage link in your website. So I'm going to add that logo as an image, and I'll grab the source for it. It's in my Cloudinary account, and I'm going to use this one here. Copy that link. I'll provide these links for you, don't worry. Here's our image there, and if I just select that, you can see that there's our logo in position. We can't see it because it's white. I'm just going to tidy up this HTML here, format that HTML, keep it all nice and tidy. Okay, let me add some presentation so that we can see what's going on here. First thing, as kind of usual, is to add a bit of a reset to remove all the margins and padding. Okay, so that's got everything kind of snapping to the browser edges. And I'm going to create some style for the body. As you guys know, we don't have to include the body in our HTML in CodePen, but we can certainly style it. And I'm going to style it with background color. And I'm going to make that black. Now we can see our logo. And I'm going to use a pattern from the CodePen pattern options. So there's some patterns that you can use here, which are kind kind of cool, and they're small little SVG files that tile and repeat on the X and Y. I'm going to use this one here. So that's copied that into the clipboard, and I can simply paste that into my CSS there. You can see that that's quite a long bit of code, but yeah, don't get worried by that. They're all vector coordinates. We can see that that tile's taken effect there, working on the X and the Y. And it doesn't matter how big or how small that background pattern is, it kind of always sort of stretches to the viewport, which is a good reason for using patterns. We'll need to style our wrapper here, I reckon. That'll be the next thing that we do, so that we can see that copy. Now the wrapper is a div with an ID of wrapper, and I've just called it wrapper. It could be, you could give it any name. Wrapper is a term that a lot of people use for this kind of div. Let's give it a background color. Make that white. Looking good, and I'll give it a width, a max width actually. And a bit bigger than we've been working previously, because I'm thinking this is more of a kind of a website outcome. So you can see we've got about a 900 pixel column width, central column there. And you can see that because I've used the max width property, that wrapper is going to kind of compress when the viewport is less than 900 pixels, which is useful for kind of flexible design, responsive design. Let's add a margin, and kind of we'll float this content into the center here with a margin of 20 pixels at the top and bottom, but an auto value for the left and right. So you can see now that that content's floating in the center and compresses when the viewport's a bit smaller than 900 pixels. Okay, let's have a look at our header. Header is a HTML5 tag, so we can just write it like header. We don't need to precede it with anything. Let's give it a background color. And I haven't got any particular color in mind, so I might go into the CodePen assets and pick a color. So maybe this purple might work. Actually, I think I can just paste that. Oh no, I can't. Paste that as a color, like so. Close that off. And that's looking quite good. Let us add a bit of some padding to the header, 40 pixels. So we get a bit of space around that logo. And also we'll add some padding to the, not the wrapper actually. I'm going to add some padding to the section. Section again, so HTML5. HTML5 element. So we can just write it as section and it targets the section there. So that's looking good. We've spaced that out quite well. The logo is got plenty of space around it. Now we want to turn that logo into a link for our homepage. So let's go up to the HTML in here, and we're going to wrap this HTML in an anchor tag. So just above the image there, I'm going to write A, and then give it a H reference, and then I'm going to add the URL to my link, and could be something like home.html. Let's just leave it at home.html and assume that it's going to the home page of this website. And then right at the other end of the image tag, I'm going to close that off. So let's make sure we're always closing off our tags. And you can see in CodePen that we get an indication of the start and end of each tag. So if I select the A there, it underlines the end tag. If I select the header, it underlines the header tag, so we can just check that we've closed off our tags. The image tag is a tag that doesn't have a closing tag. It closes itself off. So just remember that you have that angle bracket right at the end of your URL there to ensure that your image is working correctly. Now if I roll over that image, you can see that that's become a link, and when I clicked on that, it will go to home.html. However, I don't have a home.html in this instance. Oops, let's save that. Alright, so I've set up a small little website here with some content, and the image that I'm using or the logo image that I'm using in the header here has actually now become a link back to the home page of that website.